All right, Crucible Radio, ready for another big week. Sound off, CR.
Swain here.
Birds, ready to go.
Bones here.
What? You sound different.
Do I?
I know that voice. Say something else.
Use whatever, don't apologize.
That sounds like him. That's something he would say.
It does sound like something he would say.
Future War Cult is the only oh god damn it.
I knew that voice. Fallout, what are you doing here?
No, it's Bones, guys. I drink LaCroix and I have a cat and I know more about Star Wars than you and
I think you're just
no.
That's actually pretty close.
Is that spot on?
Keep going. I'm starting to buy it.
Rey is maybe the greatest character in Star Wars history.
That's not super far off. No, keep going. Getting warmer.
I read scripts for a living.
Yeah. Could you give me just like I'm Bones. I'm playing a video game, like one of those?
I'm Bones. I play games and yeah, I'm awesome.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, nailed it. Andrew dropped the beat. Wow, that's really impressive. Everybody, Crucible Radio.
We're here.
We are. Well, maybe not your regular we, a slightly modified we, but we are going to be holding down your show for all things Destiny 2 PvP. Of course, we've got myself, Mr. Birds, and Swain.
That's me.
But we've got a special guest host this week. Hi, Fallout.
Hey, boys. How are you?
Pretty good. Bonesy is traveling. And couldn't be here for this week. So we were like, all right, let's replace him indefinitely.
I don't want to think of it as settling. I like to think of it as upgrading.
Ooh.
Maybe settling for an upgrade too. But still an upgrade. Still net positive. So, put that in your pocket. No, Fallout, we love you. Long-time guest, many times on the show. And so glad to have you here. What was the last time you were on the show? I believe was when we did our live episode. Yeah?
It was.
I think that's right. Yeah,
at Guardian Con. Yeah, you really brought the actual information to share aspect of the show that time. We were sort of phoning it in. Well, welcome back. You guys like Destiny 2? Do you like playing Destiny 2?
I love playing Destiny 2. So much so that I started my Hunter this week.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How you liking it?
It's interesting. Interesting is definitely the word. I haven't gotten too far. Just unlocked my Arcstrut. Arcstrut? Yeah.
Yeah.
Staff guy.
Oh, Staff Guy's great. I love Staff Guy.
Staff Guy's so good.
Staff Guy is really fun, but I get really sad when I activate my super and I'm so hyped up. And I try to chase people down, and I'm not used to it yet. You know what I mean? I haven't nailed it down yet. They run away from me. Don't run, please. I want nothing but love to give you.
Yeah. Well, you got to position right so they're either running towards you or running towards your teammates. There is that aspect. But you want to know the Arcstrider super pro tip right here?
Sure.
Never, and I mean never, stop dodging.
Never
constantly dodging. I dodge left, I dodge right. I'm just serpentining, just zigzagging my way, slowly closing in on enemies. And it's like not quite the same as that one dream clip of the fusion bolts just like spraying and missing. But when you watch someone try and track you with an auto and you're just swoop, 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 swoop. And I think with Way of the Wind, you still get the harder to kill while dodging perk. It's a treat. It's fun. And it definitely helps not getting just melted by team shots right away.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's my week. Starting new characters. I spent like at least a half hour creating my hunter's new look. So
what'd you go for?
Black and yellow face XO.
Black and yellow. Sorry.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do? You're gonna need a lot of that Bumblebee shader.
I do. I do. Yeah. I don't know. I wanted some. I got like the white and gold thing going with my Titan, and like this red theme going with my Warlock. So black and yellow. That'll be my hunter.
Oh, so important.
It's the most important. Know what else is important, Birds?
What's that?
Leaving us an iTunes review.
Oh,
5 stars, please.
I enjoyed this segment of the show because Swain picks out and reads me one of our iTunes reviews, and y'all are kind of funny. Hit me. What do you got?
This one is from Big Chief Clay, and it's titled, This People's Know Much. This people's know much about video game. This people's make talk about video game. You listen and make you be good. Thank you, Big Chief Clay.
I didn't know you had such a presence in the caveman community.
Yeah.
We got a lot of prehistoric listeners.
Yep. We, oh man, I was about to make a terrible Vex time travel joke, but now pass. Just awful.
Oh, come on. I want to hear it.
No, that was the joke. You just got to think of a setup for it. Yeah, figure it out on your own time. Not worth it.
Make your own jokes. It's one of those like make your own adventure books, but podcast version where you make your own jokes.
Mad Libs.
Like the Mad Lib of Crucible Radio jokes. Just the stinky podcast host went to the zoo to touch a butt. Wow. We both went there. Good. All right.
But before we get going here, we have a giveaway to get to. We're going to give away
free stuff.
Wonderful gaming monitor to one of you lucky listeners who entered our contest. But if you haven't entered yet, we still have one more week of giveaways to go. We're going to be giving away a custom SCUF controller next week. So head on over to crucibleradio.com/giveaway to enter. You've got one more week left. Get your entries in. Get your chance at a SCUF controller. And Birds, let's get to it. Let's give away this gaming monitor.
Drum roll, please. Fallout. Drum roll. Lucky number 45 entry. Let's find out who it is. Number 50, number 49, number 48, number 47, number 46, and number 45. Congratulations, Ricky H. That's RIKKI. Ricky, you know who you are. You just won yourself a gaming monitor. You can get that low latency, that high resolution. You're going to be playing better than ever. We're going to send you an email in just a little bit, and you are going to be living it up. But as Swain said, it's not too late to still win a SCUF. Just go to crucibleradio.com/giveaway. Couldn't be easier.
And while you're on the website, play around, go to all the other stuff. We got awesome maps coming in from Relic. He's been doing all of the D2 maps. We've got some interesting stuff over there. You could see some shirts, some merch. We got all the cool stuff. Head on over, crucibleradio.com.
Fallout. How you been, man? What have you been up to?
I've been good. I've just been grinding Destiny, making content. Over the weekend, I leveled up my Titan. Content all day.
Ooh. Yeah, everybody seems to be finally getting to their third character. It was like, all right, I'm going to make one. I'm going to power through the story as quick as possible and spend as much time there, and then switch over to a second one real quick, and then a third one is just like, oh, shit, I got to do a third one.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I can't wait to do it 3 more times on the PC. It's going to be lovely.
I want to be so efficient at it, though, at that point. It'll be really good.
Yeah. But the Titan's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed leveling it up. I've been playing a lot of Striker Titan. So much fun in PvP, running around with double pulse grenades. I'm totally that guy. Not going to apologize.
Also can't catch people with that super.
I think you actually
slamming just short of them.
You run a little bit quicker, though, I think. At least I haven't really measured the running speed yet, but I think the Striker Titan is a little bit of bro science here. It does feel a little bit quicker. Bro science here, but it does feel quicker.
Someone asked me what I've been up to.
No.
Okay, let's move on. Now I'm going to tell you anyways.
Birds, what are you doing?
Well, I've been feeling shader cashy-inny because like 3 of my favorite shaders are for sale this week, and I've been holding on to them. And I also got 6 Xeno Silver and so much Omelon Meteor. And I wanted to do a ridiculous, silly, shiny set of armor for my hunter, but honestly, none of them quite looked right. So I ended up going with, I put together a Midnight Talon set, and I'm just going to save the super loud neon ugliness for my Titan, probably.
You guys are putting me to shame with the fashion right now.
Have you put a shader on anything yet?
I put one shader on my Better Devil's hand cannon. I can't remember the name of it, but it looks pretty good.
Okay.
Wow. You're disappointing me here.
Man,
I'm
sorry.
You spend them, man. They're meant to be spent. Yeah, you have an armor set that you love, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Class.
I don't know. If you looked at my Warlock right now, you would be happy that I'm running such a powerful loadout in PvP, but at the same time, you would be like, what are you, why?
Yeah.
What is that? It's a fashion disaster. What are you wearing right now, Fallout?
Just look, you can't hold on to them. A shader unspent does you no good. We're all going to have 100 stacks of everything in 6 months.
That's true.
Just do it. You know what? I'm going to, you're going to stream later tonight just for me, and we're going to get you set up. But I am curious about this because there was the brag in there, and I think it qualifies as a humble brag because you were talking about how you were bad at fashion at the time. But you have a very effective Warlock loadout right now.
I do.
What are you using?
I am
top to bottom.
Top to bottom. Well, okay, fine. I'm wearing the Eye of Another World helmet. Because even though the
classic,
I think it's pretty good. Even though the cooldowns aren't wildly, yes, it's a Voidwalker. Even though the cooldowns on the Eye of Another World helmet aren't crazy out of control good, they're reliable. They're always working for you. No matter what you're doing in the game, they're working to give you better cooldowns. So why not wear it?
I like the passive exotics.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I've gone with my armor mods. Like there are times where I'll put on a recoil one. But if I can just go for more resilience and more recovery, like a free point or a free 2 points each, man, I'll just do that. Like that seems just useful all of the time versus your power ammo loading or your only during super exotic.
Yeah.
Gotta get that max value. I'm sorry, continue.
Okay, and I think for the armor mods, the ones I'm trying to focus on the most are ones that reduce my grenade cooldown, because I run nothing but Devour Voidwalker when I'm playing really, really hardcore trying to get someone to the light. It's not the lighthouse anymore. What is it? The Spire.
The
Spire.
The Ice House.
The Ice House. Ooh. Devour Warlock. So the more often I get my grenades via those armor mod cooldowns, the more I can eat my grenades rather than throwing them.
Yeah, what a waste. Just it's more like it's like you crush it in your hand.
Yeah,
like a fresh melon that gives you life.
I like to pretend that I'm eating them because it's a funnier visual.
Yeah. Do you make a little sound every time you?
Yeah, kind of like a Cookie Monster thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Smashed a grenade into your face.
Need you to do that.
But and on top of that, 10 recovery every time, and healing rift on the tree. My basic goal as a warlock right now is to make it really, really hard and annoying for you to kill me.
Yeah,
that's fair.
You guys have a way of just slipping away. You get behind cover with a fraction of your health left, and you just bounce right back. You did something. I know you were up to something on the other side of that cover, and then here you are. You're 100% again. I don't like it.
Love it.
I mean, I get it. I get it. Very effective.
Totally.
All right. Well, let's get to the meat of it. Let's kick things off with a quote from the TWAB that just made me giggle. Made me giggle like a little boy.
I will say that I saw this quote and I knew who said it without even knowing who said it.
He's back, baby. This reminds me so much of when we had Jon Weisnewski on talking about D1. I think it was probably his last interview of D1. and he had brought some information. Maybe I don't think it was the last one. So maybe second to last one. He brought some information about lift, about certain guns that, looking at the data, seem to have the biggest impact on whether or not you get kills and whether or not you win, which aren't always the ones that people register. I believe at the time it was Tuanella, Plan C, and Super Good Advice were all the sleepers that those certain players knew about.
Those lift facts from behind the scenes at Bungie are so much more like eye-opening than what we get from was it Destiny Trials Report every week. It's like, oh, here's percentages of everything that was used. But Bungie has the ability to be like, what's the most effective?
Yep. What are people actually using?
That's how we learned about Tuanella.
Oh, sweet, sweet tuna. So let's just read the quote. Nusk says, oh, God, I just love this guy. We are aware of MIDA multi-tool's popularity and are looking at it very closely. It is popular, but according to our data, there are options out there that match or exceed its effectiveness in all activities. Have you found one? Oh, great. And look, I'm not saying that MIDA isn't awesome. MIDA is very, very good at what it does. A lot of perks that little bit of or mobility boost, or just maybe sprint boost. The radar, just utility is great. Great time to kill on it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the only good gun in the game. We don't believe that. We believe that there are people doing real good at a comp level with non-MIDA type guns that just because maybe you haven't seen them, maybe you haven't heard of them, doesn't mean they're not out there and they're not wrecking. That's the question I wanted to ask. What are you guys seeing out there that makes you go, I wonder if there's something to that?
Well, I personally like watching Ramblin' play because he seems to be trying to find his own play style. And we talked about it last episode. We want to see people go out and find these play styles that they like. And Ramblin's obviously is very similar to what he ran in D1, but he's been using pulse rifles exclusively because he felt they were more of his type of play style. And he was doing just fine against scout rifles. Obviously he's Ramblin', but still, it was working out just fine. He was making sure he was within his ranges, and I didn't see him complain about scout rifles the entire time.
What about you, Fallout? What's caught your curiosity?
I've been seeing a bunch of things. I mean, I've been seeing the Nightshade. I've been seeing the Skaithlock, I think it's called. I've been seeing the even the Sturm. I've seen a whole bunch of different guns that people have been able to use effectively in PvP.
I like the Valacaden.
Yeah, man.
I've seen that too.
It's so stable.
It's so stable, and it just shoots so many bullets. Just
and its reload is great too.
So many bullets.
Yep. I actually got the Perseverance, which is like the exact same gun except with a couple different stats. And it's the reload for me. Like maybe not the best range compared to Perseverance, but the handling and the reload just seals it. It's already plenty stable.
So this kind of goes into what obviously what we're talking about. I'm not the guy to look towards for new play styles and new things all the time, but I actually really like the Midnight Coupe, which is the raid hand cannon. And I like it for two specific reasons. It has Outlaw on it, so you get a kill with a headshot. It reloads really quickly.
Lightning, yep.
And it's got Rampage, which is getting kills with it increases your damage, and it stacks up to 3 times. So Rampage is pretty sweet once you get it going. It fires so fast. So the way I've been using it is chunking them down with an auto rifle and then following up and getting the kill with the hand cannon. And hand cannons, now that you don't need, you have 2 primaries essentially, you don't have to be triple tapping every time. You can kind of clean up with them and get in close with them and hip fire them. They have a lot more utility, it seems to me, than they were before. But you have to be in the range. You can't be pushing it, which is what literally everyone the comp scene was doing with hand cannons is like, how far can I push my accuracy with this? Like trying to like cross map tap them with a hand cannon. It's so silly.
I like that approach you just sort of described, where you're gonna wear someone down with an auto rifle. You're mostly out of cover while this is happening, and then you're low, they're low. You get back in cover. You switch to your hand cannon. You are now enabled to do a lot of damage relatively very quickly to finish him off just with a tiny little peek. And now you've used one bullet in your hand cannon, which is just that's just gone up a whole level in damage, and you've still got the rest of your magazine to keep it rolling with. I like that. I've been watching True Vanguard because he's always been a big champion of, I don't want to say off meta because nobody knows what the meta is, but of using unpopular choices. Watching him play with the tractor cannon is great. When we had a tractor cannon montage at the top of the TWAB, how many tractor cannons are we going to see tomorrow? But also watching True Vanguard go off with grenade launchers, which I've seen very few people use effectively, but that's the one that's kind of like caught me recently, wondering like, I'm terrible with this. How am I supposed to be using this? What am I supposed to be doing?
Our friend Cammy has been going into a deep dive. Cammy Cakes, the YouTuber. He's been really trying to figure out how to use grenade launchers like very well. And I've been playing trials with him, and it's hilarious to see him pull off these kills that just no one is expecting with these grenade launchers. He's taking people by surprise, and I'm really liking it. I like seeing people play differently in ways that, you know, the average player, it's just like, what just happened to me? What did you do?
That's a lot of like the weird stuff, like because people get so stuck in seeing the meta that when something approaches them off meta, they're like, a lot of times it's just useful because they don't know what to do against it. So you're catching them off guard. You're doing something odd that they're not used to seeing, which has its own advantages.
There was a great clip from the Fun Police regarding the tractor cannon. And he was playing trials where he was playing countdown trials because that's all we've had so far. And he put a bubble on top of the disarm zone because his team had activated the bomb. So it's basically a one-on-one, him versus this Voidwalker. And he had a bubble on, and the Voidwalker was trying to get his way into the bubble, but he's sitting in there with a tractor cannon, obviously just going for the hot doggy YouTube clip. But the Voidwalker comes in and he just blasts him out with the tractor cannon. He's not even trying to get the kill. It's like, come into the bubble. And then he blasts him out. Just keeps doing it. It was so good.
Oh, you have to wonder if they run back in. They usually run back in.
Oh, of course. Like a moth to the flame.
Well, so we've sort of been talking about, about streamers, about heroes, about really great players who are out there figuring out new angles. But I have, I don't know if this qualifies as one, but I want to hear the drop again. Andrew, I got a hot take.
Hey, yo, CR, can you throw me a hot take?
I love it. I think that Destiny 2 is at a magical, magical time right now because we have only the most obvious, quote unquote, meta going right now. And that there are so many playstyles that could become the dominant meta that no one really knows. No one has the complete story for where it's going to go, where we're going to end up. And the hot take part of it is that if you're just sitting around playing with your Trials loadout 24/7 or only playing with guns that streamers play with, you are doing yourself a disservice. Anybody can figure out a new play style, can find that next sleeper gun, can put together a good enough montage showing off an unusual play style and change the game. And if all you're rocking is Mighty Uriels, you are missing out. It's so much fun. I just made a resolution. I'm not going to put a gun permanently in my vault or dismantle it until I've played PvP with it. And that is tough. but it's possible. So thinking about grenade launchers, I did it the other night. I said, all right, let's get them all. I save one of everything. I pull them all out of my vault. First things first, just take them into PvE. And I just want to play with them. I just want to, shoot dregs in the EDZ, like see how they bounce this whole like hold and release to detonate thing, figure that thing out. How fast do they go? Some of them sticked and some of them are switchable, but just kind of get a handle on what I like, sort of what seems to fit me, and then take it into PvP and try and prove it out. Play a whole quick play game where I'm just gunning for power ammo the whole time so I can practice my grenade shots on people and just figure out what works. Do I try and go for the bounce shot around a corner, or do I get up into the air so I'm shooting down like a cut rate rocket that I don't have to reload every time? And just playing with it. And I'm no Crucible scientist, but I find pretty quickly what works for me and what doesn't. I did the same thing with pulse rifles, where I went through every single pulse rifle I had, just like swapping them in and out with dim. And I just shot a wall in the EDZ, looking at recoil patterns and trying to figure out what works, switching the perks around, switching the scopes around. And it's not really a numbers thing. It's just what feels good. Like, oh, this is grouped nice and tight, but I don't like the zoom on it anymore. And it takes too long to scope in, and just come up with instant preferences.
You know, Birds, it makes me really happy to hear you say that. All those things makes me really happy, because not enough people just like to, get their hands in the dough. Just figure it out. I mean, there's such a joy.
About the way people look at it, though, is a lot of people just like go into the Destiny database and look at guns all day when they're at work and say, like, here's this
Nothing
archetype.
wrong with that.
Guilty.
Great place to start.
Of course.
Guilty.
But like, people just look at the archetypes. They're like, oh, especially when like a new event drops, like these faction wars, they're like, oh, look at all these crappy guns. And it's like, okay, well, a lot of times archetypes are telling of what works and what doesn't work.
Sure.
But people aren't going in and like using them. And a lot of people aren't even looking at perks, like perk combinations. And that's kind of how I stumbled across like the Rampage stuff, because it was like I didn't even know it was a perk. And when I started using it, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, why wouldn't I like try and get things with this perk on it? And there's certain guns that like come out and they're like, they're not the best, but they have a niche.
Niche. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Niche.
Yeah. Niche. It's got a niche.
It's a niche.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's very nice. Anyway, it's got its own little play style to it, and I may have never discovered it unless I gave it a whirl.
Exactly. And there's a lot of guns out there that you can really have a good time with. And I mean, not just going into PvP and having fun or goofing around. You can ruin people with these guns. I mean, like, there's that gun out there, the SMG, that I still don't have. Bungie, if you're listening, can you please take the dial on my streamer RNG benefit? Could you just turn that up to like 11 for like just a day, please? A day. It's the Antiope, or I think it's the
Antiope.
I'm
like, I don't know that's a fact, but I've been corrected on.
I was just going to say the only person who has told me that it was Antiope was Bones, but I was going to say he's not here. I can call it whatever I want. But
yeah, I think I told Bones it was pronounced Antiope. So if that's wrong, you can trace it back to me and blame me. But I'm like 90% sure it's Antiope.
Fair.
Continue.
Yes, that's a really good SMG. I've seen a lot of people crush with it. I still don't have one, but I got a blue when leveling up my Titan. And I know a lot of people would have just taken
like the Philippus or something.
Something I can't even remember what it's called, but I was just looking at it and I was like, wait a minute, that's the same archetype as the Antiope. And I think a lot of people would just throw the blue into the trash can. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. And I went into PvP and I just smoked people. And they had no idea that it's coming. I mean, because you don't think that a blue could do as well on paper as a legendary, but it's almost the same thing. I mean, the recoil pattern's a little different, but it puts in work. You just have to go in there and do a little experimenting. You can find stuff that really ruins people. I
like it's its own little secret when you kill someone with something they don't know.
Yes,
it's depending on the person. And obviously, some people are a little bit more level-headed than the others. But if you kill someone with a gun that they're not familiar with, you could tilt someone. Like,
yeah.
To the point where like it's tried and true. People send messages about guns being OP, and simply because they've never heard of it. They're like, or they're just mad that they got killed by something they don't know of or they don't have. It's almost guaranteed.
You know, I had seen a screenshot on Twitter, and it's gonna bother me. I'm gonna remember who it was from at like 3 a.m. I'll shoot up in bed and I'll be like, oh, that's who it was from. But I can't remember right now. But they got a post-game message. We all love those. And
oh yeah, they're always so civil and polite.
Of course, from the nicest members of our community.
Uh-huh.
And my friend, it's bothering me that I can't remember. It doesn't matter. He was using non-meta weapons. And, you know, normally you go into trials with like the MIDA multi-tool, the Last Hope, or the Uriel's Gift or whatever. You're going to get maybe a message by people saying, wow, really? The most OP guns? Like, good job, man, or whatever. So my friend goes in using whatever, and he gets a message. It was like, wow, can't even like use regular guns like a normal person. It's like, okay, what do you have to do to not get an angry message these days?
Damned if you do. One of my favorite experiments was on my Titan. My goal when I created my Titan was to do as little PvE as possible.
Nice.
And what that meant was I was using only white guns, only green guns, eventually only blue guns in PvP. And I got to tell you, there are just white guns out there that are fantastic. One I held onto right away, thank you, True Vanguard, is the white Pariah auto rifle that you get at like after the first mission. This thing melts in PvP. I still put it all the time. I believe it is same archetype as the Uriels. But even Uriels, don't use Uriels. There are better guns in the archetype than that. Uriels is great, but if you can get the Prosecutor, if you can get the Jiangxi, which is I think my personal favorite, or the Future War Cult Numbers, these are all roughly the same gun. They don't have that same recognition because the go-to is the Uriels, but I think for certain situations, for certain play styles, they're just objectively better if you can take advantage of the perks on them.
Like the origin story, that's like the same thing as the Uriel. It's like it's just as good as the Uriels, that origin story. I like it.
Yep. So, okay, when it comes to guns, I'm telling you right now, don't trust a gun until you've played it in PvP. And what's interesting actually is some of the guns that are weakest in PvE do great in PvP. PvE is not a great place to test time to kill or anything like that. Doesn't work. All the scales are out of whack. So just try everything. Try that new Monarchy Scout that's super high impact, super slow. And you'll realize, even if it's not for you, by the end of it, the secret to this archetype is that you must hit headshots. If you have reliable aim and can treat it like a sniper, this is a good team shotting gun. There's a lot of utility there. But this is guns, and there are so many other things in the game that you wonder about. And Fallout, you've earned yourself a bit of a reputation as a Crucible scientist, actually putting numbers to these things for grenade cooldown perks, for recovery time at different levels. You've already made a ton of great videos. But, you know, you're a professional, right? You have a team of people to help you. You're trying to matchmake or just find corners in PvP where you can test these things out. But do we have to wait for the next Fallout video to come out to realize if a perk is good or not when it's not just something on a weapon roll?
Of course you don't. Just go.
I kind of set you up for that one. I sort of knew what the answer was.
Sort of.
Yeah. Warming up a little bit.
A T-ball question there, but yeah. Love you, buddy. Just go shoot a wall. Like, I've had people come into my Twitch every night and they're like, hey, what's going on with those kinetic counterbalance mods? Do they do anything for this gun? Is it going to reduce the recoil or that? Just go shoot a wall. You'll find out the answer in a minute. You don't need a YouTube channel. You don't need video editing software. You don't need people to help. You just need an eyeball. Do you have an eyeball? At least one that works okay? You can have
at least one.
At least one? Okay, well, good. You just go play around. Feel it out. You use the Force, Luke. I promise you, it'll guide you in the right direction.
I have to tell you, there's no feeling better than having only guns on your character that you have on your character because you tried them out and you like them. And you've got a bunch of weird stuff in there. For me, the pulse rifle that I like, turns out, is Swift Ride. I didn't know that would be the one. It's certainly, no one has ever heard of it. No one cares about it. I love Tone Patrol. I did not think I would like Tone Patrol because what is a Tone Patrol? But all of these came about because I went into the EDZ or went into PvP, and I just played with them all until I said, out of all the things in this archetype, this is the one that fits me. And I was surprised more often than not. Some things were, meta wins out. But my favorite scout is not MIDA. Certainly not MIDA.
You know something, birds? I have a green shotgun on my Warlock right now that I still use in PvP. And I was streaming the other day and someone was going, Fallout, what are you doing with a green shotgun in PvP? I was like, dude, it maps. Look it up. It's called the Hand in Hand. It has got sick impact, sick range. It's really, really high. If you have the Hand in Hand green shotgun, don't break it down. I'm begging you, hold on to it. Use it at least once. I'm telling you, it ruins people.
Yeah. And the best part about it is you can say that, Fallout, and no one has to be like, well, I got one with a bad roll. Because they're all the same roll. Everything's the same roll. You just got to figure out what perks on that gun you like.
Look, here's the thing with D2. Like it or not, there are no more god weapons. There certainly are good weapons, but there's no weapon out there anymore that's going to let you get a solo time to kill of half a second anymore. That is not what D2 is. There's a whole lot of guns, and a lot of them are pretty good. Some of them are really good, but a lot of them are pretty good. And the question is really not which gun can you use that you're guaranteed to go off with, but what's the gun out there that you are capable of using to its best ability to turn it from a pretty good gun into a gun that you personally wreck with. And that might not interest some people. Maybe, I certainly see the appeal, and it's fun to have a last word Thorn shotgun meta where it just, we're focusing on one specific skill set and taking it to the limit. But in terms of longevity, I would rather play a game where you can't just pick up a gun. You have to put on an identity. You have to say, who do I have to be to abuse these perks to my advantage? How does my playstyle have to change? And I think that, I don't know, when it comes to being a guardian, to being your own person, that clicks with me. Look, we got a great interview coming up, but before we do that, we need to give a little shout out to our sponsor. And this week, our sponsor, well, let me just ask, are you a fan of The Walking Dead? That super grim show about zombies that's real as. I just go on binges.
It's more so about the people.
It's about the people, right? The zombies are the least of your worries. There's bad guys. But check it out. We've got a brand new official mobile game of AMC's The Walking Dead, The Walking Dead No Man's Land.
So it's a turn-based action strategy game where you battle hordes of walkers with all of your favorite heroes, including Daryl, Rick, and Michonne.
Man, I love turn-based action strategy games. And look, it's got that sweet grind we all love by building your camp, enlisting more survivors and heroes to join you. Slowly but surely, you will become a force to be reckoned with.
There's tons of playable content that lets you relive the highlights of Season 7 and throwback moments from earlier seasons of the TV show, as well as new hardcore survival game mode for experienced players called The Distance.
So watch out for new content for upcoming Season 8 premiering at the end of October. Can you survive and stay human?
So download The Walking Dead No Man's Land for free from the App Store or Google Play.
Or you can go to getnomansland.com/Negan, Negan. He's the scary one with the bat who likes to hit people with it. And you can get Negan for free. You want Negan in your camp. He's a bit of a wild card, but he's just nasty with that bat.
This special offer is only available right now, so don't wait. That's getnomansland.com/Negan. So Fallout, I know you're new around here, but we do this thing kind of in the middle, right before the interview usually, where there's like sounds. They're usually composed together to make some sort of melody.
Right. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yell something.
Karaoke? Is that what it is?
Do you know it, Fallout?
Bones normally does this part. How does it go?
Yeah, I can't remember what he fucking says.
Just say musical break.
Oh, that's it? It's just
Just yell it.
Musical break!
I don't listen anymore. Bury it like before. Are you gonna follow me down below? Are you gonna follow me down below?
before on the show. Well, guess what? They're back. It's Hawk, our favorite shoegaze rockers from all over Europe. I don't know, but this is their new single, Below, and you can check it out. Just go to hawkofficial.com. And if you're a musician, join the ranks of these amazing groups like Hawk. All you got to do is send us an email with some of your music to crucibleradio@gmail.com. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We've got a very special guest on the show this week. I hear he's pretty good at video games, pretty good at video games. Definitely way better than all of us. So it's an honor to have him on the show. Ogre, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Welcome to the community for one. Obviously, you skipped a game, but it's not, nonetheless, it's very nice to have you around.
I like to think I missed out on a game.
There you go. Yeah, I do get a little nostalgic thinking there are certain moments that people will never know. Back when the meta was 3 guns and everyone was blinking. It's super disorienting. It was grand times. Just off the bat, let me ask, how you liking D2 so far? Treating you okay?
Yeah, I'm liking it a lot. Like I said, I missed out on most of Destiny 1, so it's very new and refreshing, all of it, to me, very much. And really looking forward to the PC version, too. So that'll be very, very interesting to see how much different that is. But even on console, having a blast. I've been playing on Xbox.
The beta for the PC version was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard to say that because it's like, oh yeah, it's going to be almost the exact same base game, but like the little features make it that much better.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Well, for those of our listeners who somehow possibly don't know who the legendary Ogre is, you have quite a bit of history with video games. Destiny 2, believe it or not your first video game.
No.
You started off in Halo and were a bit of a feature in the comp scene. How did you get your start in gaming? And tell us a little bit about that time of Halo.
It is a long story. Many years. So I am now 31 years old. I started playing and competing in Halo 1, Halo CE, in 2003. And back then, esports was just coming up. It wasn't really that much of a thing even in the US. It was mostly just StarCraft and stuff in Korea. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of around before the competitive scene. And then, smaller Halo tournaments started popping up everywhere. Me and my twin brother, Ogre1, we were Ogre1 and Ogre2. We started traveling to all these tournaments and we did pretty well. And we would win them, and then we'd go to the next one, and we'd go to the next one. They just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I think by about 2006, when MLG came around in late 2004, but by 2006, MLG started to blow up. You guys may or may not have heard of MLG, but they're pretty big. They're pretty big now. This was back when they were just starting, obviously 2004. 2006, they started picking up bigger sponsors. It got bigger and bigger. Prize money went up. The number of people showing up went up. We're playing Halo 2 at that time. Then I went on to Halo 3. My brother stopped competing about a year into Halo 3 in 2009.
That's when all the "so where's Ogre1" questions started popping up.
Yeah, right. So I am Ogre2 for a reason. I have a twin brother, and he no longer competes. He stopped competing in 2009. I continued competing in Halo 3 in 2010. Then I competed in Halo Reach. I won the national championship in 2010 for Halo 3, and then in 2011 for Halo Reach. And then I took kind of a hiatus during Halo 4. Wasn't a big fan. The comp scene kind of died out too because MLG wasn't using it as one of their games. They transferred mostly over to Call of Duty. But then during that time, I finished up school, so it wasn't too bad for me. It was a good time frame for me. Finished up a college degree, and then Halo kind of made a little bit of a resurgence with MCC and H2A. As much as I have bad things to say about MCC as a whole, H2A was okay. We had a competitive season for that. I did fairly well. I was on the number 2 ranked team. I think we won. We ended up winning one tournament. So I did win a tournament at age 29. And then shortly after that, Halo 5 came out and didn't do as well. Got dropped from the team I was on, and then other things started coming up, and now I'm getting married in a week, and I'm no longer competing, basically. So I've become a full-time streamer in the past year, and I've been doing that for about a year straight, and that's doing okay for me. And I'm also staying connected in the Halo scene. I've been coaching Evil Genius's Halo team. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And then been looking for a new game to pick up. And like I said, I missed out on Destiny 1. I really wanted to play it when it came out. All my friends played it and they wanted me to pick it up. But I was competing in Halo at the time and I didn't want to get distracted and invest too much time. So I ended up not getting it. And then now with the good timing of needing a new game and being a full-time streamer, I decided to give Destiny 2 a shot. And I'm really having a lot of fun with it.
Oh, welcome to the fold. And hey, congratulations on the upcoming wedding.
Yeah, it's literally leaving in a week and a half from today. So
I got married last year, and I have to say my favorite part about having a wedding is that I no longer have to think about having a wedding.
That's the best part.
Cross it off the list.
Ours is pretty low key. We're going to Maui, so we're doing a destination wedding, and there's only immediate family going, so it's going to be a nice little vacation as well. And the wedding itself is very simple, just a ceremony.
There's a series of liquor stores in Hawaii. There's one. I know they got a couple of them in Maui. They're called Tamura's. They got a great poke bar in the back. Check it out. Get the spicy Coca-Cola.
I'll have to check it out.
Fun fact right there.
This is the part where I'm going to tell Fallout to jump in because he's fangirling over here.
Hey, look, I'm doing a good job keeping the fangirling internalized right now. It's really cool, Ogre2, to have you in the Destiny community. It's like as soon as I saw, the tweets on the Twitter not too long ago that you were playing, that you were getting into it, I was like, wow, that's awesome. I've been a big fan of the competitive Halo playing with you and your brother, and Final Boss was just awesome to watch. It's just really, this is so strange. Like,
keep it together, Fallout, get a grip.
It's pretty awesome for me, honestly. Just coming from one Bungie game to another, I feel like I've gotten a lot of support because most of the people, if not all of them, that are playing Destiny a lot, that are grinding the game, the big community members, they're all former Halo players. They love Bungie games. So I've been getting a lot of love from the Bungie community. It feels good. There's
definitely a lot of employees that's still around at Bungie that were working on those Halo games way back in the day.
Yeah, and some of them have been pretty nice to me, and they extended an invite even for the reveal for Destiny 2. I got to go out to that, and I think I'd only been streaming Destiny for a few weeks at that point. And they tossed me an invite for that, so that was pretty awesome.
Nice.
Well, you're in it now. Fallout, do you want to ask your question? Fallout,
we're just
what?
You got any questions for me, Fallout? What's going on, man?
I was like, who is DMing me?
Yeah, it's us.
Me. It's me. I'm trying to coordinate shit. We're professionals here. Sorry. Andrew, leave this in. Fallout.
Okay.
Andrew, you can cut it out for Fallout.
Oh my God. Okay, well,
no one's gonna hear this. Just real suave, real
smooth. Yeah. So quick backstory. I too loved competitive Halo. I was really closely watching MLG all the way back since like 2006. One time I went to MLG Philly in 2007. It was actually to compete in a Super Smash Bros. Tournament. I watched you play there. That was freaking awesome. And it's so difficult to just explain to people who might not be familiar with your career. You're like an OG. You're an OG of competitive esports.
A founding father.
Back when you,
for sure.
He's a founding father. If there was currency, if there was esports currency, this guy would be on like the 5. All right,
pioneer, if you will.
Oh, 5's a good one. You don't want 20, but you don't want the 1. 5 is the sweet spot.
Exactly. No, it's right.
My wife has a conspiracy theory that they're not putting out any more 10s. And she never gets a 10.
I haven't seen any 10s recently.
Yeah, they don't exist anymore. It's like
Crucible
was it
Radio,
Kazam?
Show for all things currency based.
I think I actually have a 10 in my wallet, but I do
hold
agree.
on to
Fake,
it.
it's a lie.
It'll be worth more than $10 someday.
Nicolas Cage is going to come in and show that it's fake and that there's a map on it to a big national treasure somewhere. That's going to happen.
I'm not a big fan of Nicolas
But
Cage.
anyway.
I don't know if I'd like that.
All right, well, this interview's over. Where was I? Anyway, yes. Okay, you come from Halo. You're very successful, multiple time world champion. So when you decide, you get to the point where you want to pick up a fresh game. You know what I mean? How does that process work for somebody like you? Like, do you have a plan? Do you go in with a clean slate? How do you pick up a fresh game with the intent of like, I want to be good at this new game?
I mean, there's a couple things that definitely played a role in me picking this as my main game that I'm playing now. Streaming is definitely weighted pretty heavily. I need something that people will want to watch, and it's a big game on Twitch. I mean, it's one of the bigger, if not the biggest console game on Twitch. So I needed something new to play and stream. Playing 5 to 6 hours a day of Halo 5 was not. It was both exhausting and not too rewarding for my Twitch page. It definitely capped out at a certain point, and Destiny is just much higher on the directory. And then, like I said, I never played Destiny 1, and I always kind of wanted to play it anyways. So it's really just kind of good timing that I needed a new game, and this happened to be coming out. So I've been planning this for a few months to pick up Destiny 2 right when it came out and kind of grind it and make it my main game. And that's why I did end up playing Destiny 1. I only played for about little over 2 months at the tail end of year 3 here. So only picked it up for a few months and, got all the good stuff real quick, had people power level me, get me through all the raids once and get me all the good gear. And then I just played some PvP and some trials for about a month after that.
I imagine that when you're going into PvP, somebody like you want the shortest path, right? Between being fresh at the game to getting to the point where you can just,
right. Well, definitely,
close your eyes.
Yeah, definitely in Destiny 1, because the game had been out for 3 years and, I wasn't really trying to learn the raids inside and out. And I'm a PvP guy in general, but I do enjoy some PvE and I enjoy the raids and stuff. Like, for example, my buddies and I, we didn't cheat and we didn't look up how to do the raid. We didn't watch anyone else on Destiny 2 raid when it launched. We spent I think a total of 17 hours. We finally beat the raid on our own. Solved all the puzzles and stuff on our own.
We quit at 12.
Good for you.
We were just like, oh.
Well, we didn't do it straight though. So it was a collective 17 hours over the course of about 3 days because we are all old and I think 2 of the guys have kids and full-time jobs. So, it's hard to work around playing more than a few hours at once. But we pieced it together in about 3 days. I think 17 hours. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, Destiny 1 fast-tracked to the PvP just to get a feel for it before Destiny 2 came out, mostly.
So coming into D2, and sure, okay, we're all starting at the same time. The game hasn't been out that long. But I mean, I guess going into it, sort of day one and taking that sort of fast track to the place you're going to end up in, did you find yourself kind of treating it like a raid and saying, nobody knows anything yet. I'm going to go in blind. I've got great, just base shooter skills to rely on. I'm going to figure out what's best in this game. Or, I mean, are you looking at other players and watching other streamers sort of following the evolving meta? How does that work?
I mean, I feel like I figured most of the stuff out on my own. I have been watching some other players just to get other ideas, but then I keep coming back to where I am now after the last week or two. So I feel like I've figured out probably the best 2 classes and the best 2 guns, in my opinion. The kinetic and energy weapons, at least. So I don't know. I feel like most of the stuff was just going into it with an open mind, and they changed enough about the classes to where they don't play like they did in D1. I only played for about a month, but I ended up on Night Stalker in D1, and
fine choice.
I'm not a fan of the hunters in this game, so it's quite a bit different, and there's definitely a lot of
right
just
there with you
figuring it out on my own.
Well, so I'm curious. I mean, you mentioned it. Walk us through. And I'm curious to see if it lines up with sort of the supermarket popular stuff. What are the subclasses? What are the guns that you find are most effective?
All right. Well, so let me just break it down for you. This is my personal opinion, and I've tried most of the stuff. I have not tried all of the classes, but some of them I think are very blatantly weaker than others. So this is not even a point in trying them. But The two subclasses I feel like are most consistently the best would be Void. I started off with Voidwalker, and I was playing that for about the first week and a half. Just the nature of the game being really slow regen is a lot of the reason for my picks here, for Voidwalker especially, and also just because the main reason I feel like hunters are weaker is not just their lack of utility. They do have a general lack of utility, but they're stuck with some mobility points, and I feel like mobility is the weakest, and you need to be stacking regen because the regen's so slow. Yep. So Voidwalker, you got Warlocks and Titans are the two that don't get stuck with any mobility points. You can theoretically have 0 mobility, which I was running on my Warlock, and I think I was running like 068 or 069, something like that. And that was with recoil mods. I haven't played on that in a week, but that's another story. We'll get back to the recoil mods in a minute. But basically, Voidwalker has a lot of utility with the healing rifts are really strong because there's, slow regen, and then you can just sit on the healing rift, and it's really good for laying down shots and basically holding down an area. No one can really push you because you never really get that weak, unless they have 2 guys shooting you, obviously. Multiple people shooting you. But healing rift's really good, and then the Devour, being able to consume your grenade is crazy good. You can get super nerdy with that. And then on top of that, it's the only class with Blink. And yeah, they did nerf Blink a bit from what I heard Destiny 1 Blink is, but it's still crazy good. You get 2 Blinks back to back, and with 0 mobility, mobility doesn't affect your sprint speed anyway, so it doesn't really make you that much faster. But it's one of the fastest classes. My friend Nistic, who's former Halo 1 Pro, Shadowrun Pro, we've been doing some carries and whatnot, whatever you want to call it, playing with my subs, and he's really good. He runs the boots on the Warlock. I think it's the transverse steps or whatever. But with those things on with Blink, it's probably the fastest class. And you have a crazy mobility. And then you also have really good regen, base regen, and then you have the healing rift and the consume, and then the Devour perk working in PvP is kind of crazy too. So I'm assuming you guys know what that does, but I'll explain it anyways.
You're in good company here.
You're in good company.
For context, Fallout just spent like 5 minutes of the first half of the show talking about how much he loves Devour.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
it's like this man is reading pages out of.
So obviously Devour is crazy good. Being able to consume your nade, you can get crazy nerdy with it. I always get guys that'll get me weak. They think I'm weak, so they rush me, and by the time they rush me, I've consumed my nade. I'm instantly full health. I kill them when they rush me. Then their teammates right behind them, and when I kill them, and they have made me weak again, but then once I kill them, the Devour's going, so it instantly shoots me at full health again. I kill the second guy. You can get super nerdy with that. So just the slow regen of the game, it puts hunters in a bad spot right now, and mobility is not really necessary. Like I said, doesn't affect sprint speed. So I feel like they should change that. If you're stacking mobility, you should at least be able to outrun people. You could actually maybe do some creative stuff with that. But yeah, so Voidwalker, my favorite Warlock class. I think it's a top 2 subclass. The only one that competes with it is what I have recently switched to, and I'm having more fun with it. So I think that's why I'm playing it. And I want to say it's better, but it's definitely just about on par maybe. But I feel like the 2 subclasses stand out above the other ones. But it's obviously the Striker Titan. Woo! And you got the double pulse nades, man. It's only a matter of time until they tweak something about the
electric
pulse nades.
swamp.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. You get 2 of those, and it's not just that. Obviously, like the nades are crazy good, and it's a big reason why. But like I said, with the same thing with the Warlock, you can stack regen pretty high. I think you can get up to 9 regen, maybe higher. I'm not really sure. I haven't tested full regen build. Maybe you can't get 9. Maybe it is 8. But I have 8 on mine. I'm on like a 168. The only one mobility is because it's from my chest piece, which is the Alpha Loopy or whatever. I don't know how to say that.
Alpha Lupi.
But that one's really crazy good also because it's not a healing rift, but it's another way to heal. And you do get a chunk. You get maybe like a third of your health back instantly whenever you drop your shield. So I basically just use that as a heal. If I ever get caught out in the open or I get weak, I'll just drop my shield and I'm instantly like, close to half health, and they can't really rush me because I have a shield too. So
yeah, you got some cover going, so you can get the rest of your health back.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And with the strafe jump, you can get around really quickly, and it's also got the Spartan charge, or I don't know what do they call it in this? The aerial assault shoulder charge.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can turn corners and outrun people or catch people really easily on that class too. And then the super's really good too. It's one of the better roaming supers in my opinion. You're fast. It's got a pretty big AoE. You can actually just kick single targets, although it does seem a bit glitchy sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes
the kick
that
does.
hit registration.
Yeah, they've been having issues with the hit detection on supers since the beginning of Destiny 1. So I think it's more so with like the way the person-to-person connections work.
Yeah, but Striker Titan and Voidwalker would probably be my top 2 subclasses. I think there's only a few that really... I think Dawnblade's probably the weakest of them all, maybe. Arcstrider. Arcstrider's got a pretty good class, but the super's terrible. They need to buff the super.
Not great,
It's just super... You're like actually slower with it somehow.
Can we rewind this podcast at some point? Like, I just... like, everything I have said on this show is being backed up by mother effing Ogre2. Like,
it doesn't take a rocket scientist. You play the game a couple of weeks, and
I'm pleased.
It actually kind of blows my mind. It's like, were the classes not meant to be balanced, or I don't want to take a jab at Bungie, but play for a few weeks, and it definitely feels like there's some that are weaker and some that are stronger. But maybe you'll always have that. You can never really get a true balance, I guess.
We've had a few of them on the show, like the devs on the show before. And they do tend to like doing seasons almost, where things are a little bit stronger at certain times.
Makes sense.
A la like Overwatch kind of has like different heroes be popular during different seasons, but
it kind of clears it all, I guess, and then it changes the whole game, so it refreshes it. I could see that. Yeah,
it's not artificial freshness, but it definitely gives you it makes the player switch around. They don't get too comfortable on one class. So I sorely miss Sunbreaker from Destiny 1. So I'm right on board with
God
with that. It's so terrible right now.
You're a sticky grenade guy, huh?
Sun Charge was my thing.
Yeah, the Hammer Titan in this game is kind of just a weird build. It's relies entirely about building your super off of sunspots and stuff. It just seems kind of strange.
Yeah, it's a PvE class.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, you had mentioned you'd sort of settled on your gun loadout at this point, and I'm assuming this is sort of with a competitive trials kind of focus. What are you using?
Okay, so a little bit different than obviously what the general public likes, and I can understand why that is. But basically, the guns I prefer and have settled on are based on consistency and kill times, and everyone else is loving the MIDA. The MIDA is good, don't get me wrong. It's an all-around good weapon, but Uriel's Gift is my ranged weapon. It's an auto rifle, and it is... It outguns the MIDA in every scenario except extremely long range. Even like long-range fights, I'm outgunning MIDAs pretty consistently. It's got high-caliber rounds, and it's an auto rifle, and auto rifles are very strong right now. I don't know what it is, and it's obviously a lot of this is going to change on the PC version. And I think it has to do with the Xbox, the 30 frames, the tick rate, shot registration and whatnot. But single shot weapons, you tend to get what feel like blanks, or you have shots not count. And then obviously there's also human error where you do miss a shot occasionally. Whereas, and then with the rate of fire, obviously you have time between your shots. If you miss a shot with a hand cannon against an auto rifle, like you have no chance because the time to kills are about the same. Might even be quicker with some of the auto rifles. And so basically with the auto rifles, you can't mess up as easily, and you get a lot of shots on guys that are like leaving corners. You get a lot of shots you can just pre-fire and you'll hit them like before they come out of corners. And then just the high cal rounds on the Uriels and the range it has is pretty crazy. It's super steady as well. I don't run any recoil mods. I've tested them. I used them on my Warlock, and then I switched to my Titan, and I don't really notice a difference. I don't know if that's just because it's harder to shoot in Halo, and I'm used to that, and maybe I'm just good at aiming. But it feels like there's lots of magnetism and large hitboxes, and it's really kind of hard to miss shots in this game. That kind of has a lot to do with the mobility stuff. Like mobility is supposed to affect your strafe speed, but with the aim down sight speed, like strafe speed in this game is very slow. Like it's compared to what I'm used to anyways. It's not hard to hit people basically. And I'm not noticing a big difference, if any, with recoil mods on my Uriel's Gift or the kinetic weapon I use, which you would think you would notice it because it's an SMG, but I use the Antiope. And there seems to be no other gun in the game that can compete with the Antiope. It feels broken, honestly. Like I'm not sure if it's even working as it's intended. That's how good it is. Because I've tried almost every other SMG in the game, and the range is so much longer. Like, yes, it shows it has a long range on the stats, but like, I'm talking like you get magnetism and auto aim like mid-range fights with this gun, and it's crazy good.
Are you using the longer scope or the shorter one?
I use the longer scope, so the max range. I think it's the hollow scope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you feel it's pretty crazy.
I was watching you on the Gulch, just like tap firing it at people across the map and just cleaning up kills with it.
It's weird. Yeah, like, so I switched to the Abjudicator. Like, say that 10 times fast. Whoever came up with that name is. But the Trials SMG, like, on paper, looked like it was a better version of the Antiope, minus the kill clip perk, which I'll get back to. But I tried that for a while, and it felt like the range was so much shorter, like at least half. You would just lose auto aim, and it's so much harder to hit people, even though the recoil was like more vertical and like less sway. Like the recoil on the Antiope feels crazy, but all your bullets magnetize the guy. It's like you don't even have to aim at him. You put it anywhere in his general direction, you're getting headshots, or you're getting body shots, then headshots. Like I don't know, it's just the Antiope is insane. There's no other gun that competes with it at close range other than maybe the Adjudicator and then the Last Hope. But like I said, those are much more smaller ranges where they're good, and also they're less consistent because the Last Hope is because it's not a SMG. You can't kill as many people in a row with it. The range is way worse, and I feel like the kill time on the Antiope's even faster if you're hitting headshots on that thing. And plus, then brings me back to the kill clip on the Antiope. Yeah,
the kill clip is pretty great.
It's one of the few things in a game where I feel like there's not much room to excel in killing multiple people by yourself scenarios, because of the slow regen and the relatively easy aiming compared to other shooter games like Halo, where it's a little bit where people will miss shots more often. Basically, kill clip is one of the few things where you can separate yourself with it, and I do that just for fun. I'll kill a guy. I'll be quarter health, and I'll challenge another guy while weak as soon as I proc the kill clip. Which, for those of you who don't know, it's once you get a kill, then you reload, then you get it's a 5-second buff, and you get a 30% increase in damage. So your headshots with that thing are doing 26s instead of 20s, and you can kill people while you're like quarter health, and they'll get like one MIDA shot off if they're around the corner with a MIDA. You could literally get a trade with them while they shoot one MIDA bullet.
That perk, kill clip, and also rampage are two perks that are pretty great right now. I think people are sleeping in on them both. I
think kill clip easily outperforms the rampage perk. Rampage seems okay. Definitely better in PvE than PvP. PvP, I don't think it's as big of an increase. I'm actually not sure how much of an increase in damage it is, but it stacks.
Fallout.
You have that information. It's definitely not as much for the first stack.
I'm working on it, man.
There's no way it's as much for the first stack as the Antiope's kill clip. But either way, it's only for like 2 seconds, which was I noticed right off the bat. So that's as soon as you get the kill as well. So here's the difference. You get 2 seconds versus 5 seconds. And then as soon as you get the kill versus as soon as you reload after the kill. And you have about 2 seconds to hit that reload to still keep to still activate the perk. So you can extend the kill clip to essentially like 7 seconds. If you wait a second and you need to close a little bit of the gap before you want to activate the kill clip. So I've been doing that a lot. And basically you can very much more control when you have the kill clip versus when you have the rampage. And that's for that reason alone, I think the kill clip outshines it like by quite a bit. And then I think it is also more damage, but I don't have proof of that.
Tips right
but it
here.
Definitely feels like it.
I don't want to rewind the clock like 10 minutes, but like I couldn't interrupt the man when he's talking PvP, right? I'm not going to do that. What am I, crazy? But like, so I gotta Ogre2. I'm gonna chat with you a little bit for like just a minute on those kinetic counterbalance mods that you were talking about, the ones that are supposed to have an effect on your gun's recoil. So I have tested that pretty damn thoroughly, and by the time this episode goes live, the video will be up on my YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. Check that out. But the perks that are, your armor mods that have an effect on your gun's recoil, they actually come into play with correcting horizontal recoil patterns. So if you're putting it on a gun, if you have a gun with an extreme horizontal recoil kick, maybe it kicks at like 45 degrees, pick a number. You put a +1 kinetic recoil mod on it, you're going to notice that recoil pattern gets a little bit more vertical. And then if you're a hunter, which is the only class that can receive a +2, you can put both on and they do stack. And then it gets pretty, like really, really straight. So the reason that if you're listening at home and you're experimenting with these mods yourself, you might not notice a difference on certain guns. It all boils down to it depends on the gun. So if you have a gun that already has a natural vertical recoil, like the Uriel's Gift auto rifle, fantastic weapon. That's my tryhard gun when I'm trying to carry people flawless to the lighthouse. It has a perk on it. I believe it's called Precision Frame, where the recoil pattern is more predictably and naturally vertical, which is why if you were to put recoil mods on that specific gun, you might not notice the benefit. But if you have it on a different gun, just tinker around with those depending on the gun. If it doesn't seem to help your gun out, lose it, use something else, use a different armor mod. But if you have a horizontal recoil gun, then those mods might swoop in and help you out.
I think the Antiope also has that. It does say more vertical recoil pattern. So I think it's the same as Uriel's. Obviously an SMG.
I wouldn't know because I still don't have it.
You can get it from the gunsmith, bro.
Sometimes.
I've opened so many packages. Come on.
You're obviously not grinding enough, Fallout.
The gunsmith, you can look at what's in the packages, right? And it'll show you like a preview of what you'll get.
You can peek. But even with that peek, you can still get different stuff in there, which is why it's like, Bungie, why are you playing with my head?
It's definitely most common is you get the stuff in there, though, from what I've experienced. And then you're probably sitting on a lot of legendary shards as well. So I don't know if you knew about the little trick where you buy a bunch of exotics and dismantle them to get... You basically convert legendary shards into weapon parts. So you can stock up on a couple hundred weapon parts with your legendary shards. I don't know if you've done that
Sweet weapon parts. Well, let's just to round it out. Have you settled on power weapons yet? Or is that going to be sort of map dependent? What's your thinking there?
I mean, my favorite one and the most consistent, which is what I like to use, is things that will help me in most scenarios possible, that will give me an advantage, is the... I've been using the fusion rifles. Main ingredient is my go-to. It seems like the best one all around. Obviously, the increased damage stack from player to player too. It's one of the few, if not the only, that I feel like you against decent players at least, where you can clutch like a 1v3, maybe even a 1v4, if they don't play it smart, because you can one hit people and you get increased damage from guy to guy, and if they don't all rush you at the same time. If they're like one at a time type of thing, I've made some clutch plays with it. My buddy Nistix made some, I think he had a round. I don't think I've seen it again or before that, where he 1v7'd. I think he killed all 4 of them after the revives as well. I think that's the most lives you can have. I think he got 7 kills with the fusion rifle in a round and won the round for us.
Ooh. Beautiful.
But yeah, fusion rifle. Snipers, I don't know, sniping's hard. People can close gaps really easily. It just doesn't seem that great. Shotguns seem like pretty reliable, but again, you got to be playing your corners really well, and you get caught out in the open with it, you're screwed. And then rockets are definitely pretty good, but you only get 1 or 2 shots with them, and you have to reload after each one. So it's less consistent. With the fusion rifle, with main ingredient, at least you get 4 bullets, and they're all in one clip. So it's the most consistent, in my opinion, and I've really enjoyed it.
Well, let's switch gears here a little bit. I realize we've got sort of a rare opportunity to ask someone who actually knows what a comp scene is like about a question that you hear all the time in Destiny Twitter, Destiny Reddit, which is that Destiny fundamentally is a game that doesn't really have competitive potential. It doesn't mean it's not fun. Doesn't mean we don't all like to play it. And certainly the focus has not really been on an esports scene. It took us forever just to get private matches. And really, you see more trials being sort of the main place for sort of endgame PvP. So I guess sort of 2-part question. Define it however you want, but what makes a competitive game? And follow-up question, do you think Destiny 2 has that potential, or it's just something different?
I mean, competitive game, that's very much opinion, and I haven't even really sat down and thought about that before. you're gonna need some kind of skill gap on an individual level, but you're also gonna need it to be very team oriented. Unless of course we're talking 1v1 game, but I'm assuming we're talking team game.
Sure.
You need team elements. You need a skill gap though on an individual level, or it just gets really bland, in my opinion. I don't know. It feels pretty good from what they have now. My biggest gripes are definitely console related, and I'm really waiting till I'm just kind of just holding my breath for the PC version, and I think it could have that skill gap that it needs. Console, not so much right now. Honestly, like it's a fun game, and you can occasionally do cool stuff. Yeah, movement's one of them. Like I said earlier, the aim down sight speed is so slow. There's almost no strafing in gunfights, or like with the amount of magnetism and auto aim. People aren't missing many shots. You have to go pretty far down the skill chain to find someone who's missing shots in this game. So it's definitely catered towards people with less aiming skill. And then on top of that, the movement speed is slower, so it's easier to hit people for that reason. But then couple that with the console issues where it's 30 FPS and therefore the tick rate's low, and I'm trading, 3 to 5 times a game with a dead body that I have killed, instead of getting away with a hair of health to then kill another guy. It's tough to string together kills with how it is currently on console. And I think most of that will be fixed with PC, but they might need to bump the move speed. That is something I had thought of to separate the skill gap a little bit on an individual level and be able to make those flanking plays and whatnot. If you're going to keep the radar in, at least you have to do something with the move speed, because you can't do much by yourself right now. And I understand that you want it to be a team oriented game, but people need to be able to make those cool plays, or no one's going to want to play it. No one's going to want to watch it.
So after watching a lot of these people play against you in PvP, and I'm sure you've gone up against some people that you might be suspicious that they don't have thumbs. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you're seeing some of these younger players be doing in Destiny?
A lot of them just use weird guns. I don't. It's hard to say because they're not using good classes, or they're not using good guns. So in my opinion, they're at a disadvantage right off the bat.
Well, what about someone that's like forcing themselves into a MIDA meta almost? Like what kind of mistakes are you seeing from those types of people?
Honestly, a lot of people aren't very aggressive. I feel like aggression in most esports, shooter games at least, aggression seems to be, as long as you can do it right, it seems to be the better way to go about things. And it seems like a lot of people just get into this, I got a MIDA and I'm sitting back. And heck, man, the trials map the last 2 weekends, I've just been holding forward up the middle bridge and just running at their team. And I just get up on them with an SMG and 2 pulse nades, and they're all sitting there with MIDAs and they don't know what to do because they don't do any damage. So definitely aggression, sliding. You don't see sliding very often. People don't crouch. Like with the radar, it's the only way that you can confuse enemies. Crouch if you ever can. Crouching in gunfights, it's one of the few things that I've been doing. I do it almost all the time. I did it in Halo a lot too, but in a game where you can't really strafe, I feel like you're better off crouching, especially in this game, because people have recoil, so their gun's naturally pulling up, and you're not strafing to dodge bullets. So I'll usually start a gunfight off standing and then hit them with a crouch midway through, mid gunfight. So you can either claw that, or I use a scuff, so I use my paddle. You can use an elite controller, same thing. But yeah, crouching, sliding, floating over people's heads, jumping over their heads if you're a hunter, I guess. I don't play hunter, but jumping on a hunter is something you definitely want to utilize. It's one of the few things they have going for them. They get a really high vertical jump. You can lose people with that, but yeah, being aggressive, especially if you get someone weak, be on the lookout for those void walkers consuming their nades, and the Titans put down their shields. But you get someone weak and they're stuck out in the open other than like a small piece of cover, they're going to be weak for the next 10 seconds because the regen in this game is really low. So you should take advantage of that, in my opinion.
That is all some pretty rock solid advice, Tom. I feel like we're best friends now. And feel comfortable
What was your name
calling
again?
you Tom. But
He'll just be crouched outside your windows later tonight. You can ask him then.
well, then he won't see me on the radar. But yeah, so that's some really good advice for solo players. Be aggressive. Float over people's heads, all that good stuff that you just laid down.
I've been doing a lot of that, just holding forward, and it's a lot of experimenting with what you can get away with, in my opinion. That's what I always do in games. You're never going to get better just sitting back and doing the same old thing, so just hold forward for a while until you get the hang of like when you can go in and when you shouldn't, basically. You get used to what you can get away with is some of the best advice I could give.
I like
Can
that.
you give an advice for a collective team advice? Like that's good advice for solo players right there. Like what would you say to like a team looking to get better?
Communication is huge. Being able to communicate when you have multiple people weak so that you can collapse type of situations goes back to being aggressive, but it would just be coordinated aggression. Get different angles on the same area, and then once you get them weak, just collapse. Especially in a lot of these game types, the spawns are really predictable. You'll get used to that as you play more and hold forward more. You get used to collapsing, you clear them all out, and once you realize that you've cleared them all out of one half of the map, they're all spawning on the other side. So it's sort of just collapse back and forth is what me and my buddies have been doing.
All right. Well, we're gonna clip all those out and post them on our Twitter and claim credit for this super good advice right here. But if people want to go straight to the source and
I'll link you my PayPal.
Yeah. well, we'll figure something out. Don't get ahead of yourself here. If people want to get it straight from the source and learn directly from the one and only Ogre2, where on the internet can they find you?
Well, like I said, I'm a full-time streamer now. I've been doing it for over a year, and I'm pretty much full-time Destiny streamer now.
Woo!
I have switched over from Halo for the last few months here, and it is twitch.tv/Ogre2, no space. And then my Twitter is /at Tom Ryan Ogre2. And that is my full name, and Ogre2 with no spaces.
All right. Well, go check him out, and hopefully you don't run into him in trials. Ogre, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
I don't listen anymore. Bury it like before. Are you gonna follow me down below? Are you gonna follow me down below?
All right, boys. Well, that was pretty fun. I'm just gonna send you the file.
Get your fangirling out there.
Yeah. I'll send you the stuff. I'm just gonna dip out, right?
No, we just gotta do an outro, man.
What?
It's part of the job. You're not just a guest. You're a co-host. That's we have to record an outro bit. It's got to be very funny. It's got to be original.
This was not in the job description you sent me.
No, that's fine. This is look. You're filling in for Bones. You're gonna do Bones work. Take it away.
How do I kick this off? How do I take this away?
We don't
It's a
really
question, actually,
no. We just kind
Sort
of wing
make
it
up
every
as we
week.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
I never really thought about it like that. It sort of
Just,
happens.
I guess, go to crucibleradio.com, check out all the stuff over there,
That's a good one.
join the Discord. We are no longer on Slack. I know a lot of you email me and ask me, where's the Slack? Did I get kicked? No, go to discord.gg/Crucible Radio. Join up, join the fun. Tons of people looking for games, looking for fun, talking about all sorts of stuff, and posting memes, obviously. So head on over.
The Primo Memes. And of course, follow us on Twitter at Crucible Radio and Fallout. Thanks, man. Hit us with some plugs. Give us some Fallout plugs. Where's Fallout?
YouTube.com/FalloutPlays and Twitch.tv/FalloutPlays.
Damn. So I'm ready to go. Okay. I guess that's it. Good show, guys. See ya.
Bye.
Later.
Love you.
Bury it like before. Are you gonna follow me down below? Are you gonna follow me down below?
What's up, everyone? Bones here. Do you like podcasts? Do you like chill conversation? Well, me and my co-hosts Swain and Birds put out a bonus podcast every month on Patreon. If you want to check it out and be a part of more awesome stuff, head over to patreon.com/Crucible Radio and join the squad. See you there.